Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Welcome to another webinar session brought to you by Talent Bank. My name is Hanis and I'll be your host and moderator today. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you very much to everyone here this morning. I hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe. It's a wonderful morning for a webinar session, and I know that some of you may prefer to be out. So if you do, please practice all the SOP and maintain social distancing at all times. Our frontliners have been doing an amazing job, but it is up to us to maintain vigilant. So, kita jaga kita, right? Okay, join with us this morning is Encik Yusman, Head of Product and Innovation from TM, and a special guest appearance by Anne Idris, founder of Mom's Bakery, as they share with us their amazing stories and experience in their topic for today, corporate or entrepreneurship, navigating the next norm. Welcome, Encik Yusman. So first up, a few logistics for our session. Wait a sec. Okay, you can use the Zoom Q&A function in the box below to share any questions you have during the session. We selected questions will earn a special token, so leave your name and email address for us to contact you. Yeah. You can also use the Zoom chat function to share any comments you have during the session, and this session will be recorded for future playback. So later on in this session, we'll be giving out a free personality profile assessment courtesy of TM. So if you miss it out in the earlier session by TM, do stay tuned. Furthermore, stand a chance to win some fabulous prizes from Talent Bank as you vote in our Graduates' Choice Award. Show your support to Telecom Malaysia by voting them as your choice of employer. You can vote by scanning the QR code or visiting at the link below at www.graduatechoiceaward.com/vote. And so do give your support by voting TM in the government link category and as well as the telecommunications category, and win amazing prizes along with it. Yeah. So some of the prizes that you can win stands from a HP Spectre 360 laptop, an Apple 13-inch MacBook Pro. So the more you share with your friends, you stand a chance to win better prizes. Yeah. So without further ado, I would like to once again welcome everyone today, and I hope that you enjoy this webinar. Let's begin the session with a video from
Together, we found new ways to live, to play, to learn, to work. Together, let's rebuild better livelihoods, better opportunities. A better society. A better economy. Towards a digital Malaysia. Together, kita jaga kita. Our children. Our communities. Our environment. Our Malaysia. Together, making life and business easier for a better Malaysia.
Okay, so Encik Yusman, over to you.
Thanks, Anis. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good morning. Thank you, Talent Bank, for organizing this webinar. And thank you for all the future leaders, future captains of industries, inshallah, future successful entrepreneurs who join us today. We have 231 participants today, Anis. So hadiah tadi untuk
Yes.
participants saja, not for the speaker.
For the participants only. Unfortunately, we don't have other speakers.
Before that, Anis, siapa menang ni, Anis? Joe Biden ke Donald Trump?
Last I checked, so far is Joe Biden, but I haven't.
230 ya.
Tapi belum check lagi lah. Belum update.
Okay, my topic today to all participants is navigating the next norm, be adaptable and ready for the future. We have 3 segmen hari ini ya. Segmen pertama ni, I buat 20 minit saja. 20 to 30 minutes lah, rasa 20 minit cukup. Dan kemudian kita akan bersama dengan our guest speaker daripada entrepreneur, wanita cukup berani insyaAllah. Then kita will have a question and answer. And let's get started. Next slide please, Anis. Okay, this is my unexpected but very exciting career journey. In 1998, during the economic recession crisis, sama juga macam sekarang ni, I completed my degree dalam kejuruteraan elektrik dan electronics daripada USM 1998. Lepas tu I kerja as a test engineer dekat Quantum Peripheral. Then suddenly TM call me back to fulfill my sponsorship contract. So sebenarnya I TM scholar tapi during that time TM kata because recession dia tak tahu lagi nak panggil ke tak, so kita kerja dulu. And then after 6 months under TM Management Training Program, I was assigned as a sales executive managing this multinational company. Tengok kat bawah tu, that's my project line. Nampak ni Telecom Paper tu the first I call it breakthrough project. 10 gigabit per second network untuk DHL di Cyberjaya. Kalau for those yang pernah kerja dengan multinational ni, dia ada follow the sun concept. So 8 jam di Malaysia, 8 jam di Europe, 8 jam di US. So lepas tu jaga tu juga very interesting because you establish relationship dengan customer. Malaysia Book of Record. Ini kita buat online transaction at the highest altitude. Ini masa tu Anis, ni tak ada lagi kapal terbang ada wifi. So kita naik kat bukit Gunung Kinabalu tu, kita buat online transaction. It become Malaysia Book of Record. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting. So then in 2009, after TM, Telekom Malaysia and Celcom demerger, I was tasked to form SME line of business. Ini yang terlibat dalam small and medium enterprises, focusing more on marketing and solution. Dan kemudian I took another challenge in my career journey. I accepted to lead the channel nationwide for Telekom Malaysia. Ini termasuklah kita punya outlet, kita punya reseller, kita punya call center. And this bukan Macau scam lah. So this all the channel yang kita jaga. And then I was named a CEO of TM Infomedia. Itu I rejuvenate our digital directory services. And another major shift in my career, I joined TM1 last year as a head and product and innovation. Kalau you tengok sini banyak lah actually activity, and even ke atas tu, I also nak be relevant in the market. I keep actually enhancing my knowledge lah. I completed my MBA 2005, then currently continue with my PhD insyaAllah in management, focusing more on digital transformation. Kalau you tengok ke atas tu, kalau nampak lah masa MCO tu I ambil executive program ni online malam-malam ni dekat Cambridge on the disruptive technology. This actually to make sure that I'm still relevant, I'm not outdated. So these are the exciting career journey, I would say. Kalau tengok from TM or corporate perspective, easy access to all these particular well-known brands. Nampak kat bawah tu actually I won the best sales initiative worldwide with Microsoft with regards to Office 365 itu kat Barcelona lah. So for those yang minat dekat corporate world ni, dia punya easy access to all this corporate brand ni memang senang. That is my exciting and unexpected journey yang I lalui kat Telekom Malaysia lah, more than 20 years after I joined TM. Next, Anis.
Yep.
About TM quickly. Macam saya katalah, horizon ni besar kat corporate ni. Macam TM kita ada 3 line of business. Yang ni yang kita nak be closer to our customers. TM1 is our business to business solution arm. Kita ada 11,000 customers, large enterprises and public sector. Kita serve bank, kita serve UMW, kita serve hospital, kita serve universities. Ramai university student kat sini kan. And then Unify pula adalah kita punya brand untuk homes. Kita ada 2.5 million and more than 400,000 micro, small and medium enterprises bawah Unify team. And kita ada juga kita punya TM Wholesale. TM Wholesale ni actually connecting Malaysia to the world kan. Kita ada dia punya customer contohnya Google, Facebook, TikTok. So we have 3 line of business. Kalau for those yang nak join TM nanti, these are the area probably you are interested to know more. Next. This is our journey. Kalau you notice dulu for those yang tak pernah merasa dial up kita merasa dial up kan ni. So then kita ada broadband champion, and then kita ada convergent, kita TM involved dalam mobile juga. Untuk 2019 kita actually start kita punya journey to become a digital champion or building up our digital Malaysia. I will explain a little bit apa itu digital Malaysia. Then kalau you tengok kat sini lah, bila kita tengok all this journey, even masa kita study the traffic utilization during the MCO Anis, daripada March to June 2020, kita tengok the increase of cloud services almost more than 51%. The traffic is 7,822 terabyte during the MCO session. Social media increased almost 40% utilization. So termasuk juga streaming lah. So we notice this is very key for Malaysia. We're looking at digital lifestyle yang kita ada lah. So that's why TM is actually we want to build this digital Malaysia to provide this all digital services. And I will touch more later on. Yang mungkin kat sini I kata very important to you to know what else that we do beside broadband. Next, Anis. Ini is actually layer of services. Yang ni engineering student, you may want to focus on this slide. Termasuk juga computer science students. This is what we do actually dekat TM. So bawah tu, kalau tengok this is our connectivity. Connectivity kita adalah dulu daripada voice, analog voice ke digital voice. Sekarang kita IP voice. Kita ada internet services. Kita data for those yang learn about software defined network. Apa beza software defined network ni? Apa benda ni software defined network ni? Contohnya kalau consumer, kalau kita pakai handphone kan, handphone ni dulu kamera lain, handphone lain kan. Dan sekarang ni semua converge dalam satu device. Similar juga dalam bentuk software defined network untuk enterprise and government ni. Dulu kalau dia nak buat dia punya intra network ni, dia ada dia punya router, atas dia ada firewall, atas tu ada lagi equipment packet shaper. Tapi with SD-WAN ni, semua tu dalam satu box. That will improve a lot of in terms of cost and also performance. On top of that, we build kita punya data center. Kenapa data center ni penting? Ya? So kalau you notice, sekarang ni semua buat data. So macam kita punya lah, orang kata data is a new oil dalam industri. Data is very very important. Even kalau siapa yang monitor watch Mak Etote the movie kan, dah berapa juta dah Haris? 5 juta 12 hari.
5
So,
ada juga.
So data yang dapat tu kebanyakan di start dari YouTube kan. Dari YouTube tu banyak feedback dia dapat, and then dia can produce so-called box office punya movie, which is very, very interesting. So, similar dengan kat sini juga. So kita punya data center, TM ada 9 data center, 2 world class data center, satu dekat Cyberjaya, satu dekat IPDC, dekat Johor. Kenapa data center ni penting? Because bila kita kata data is a new oil, data is very valuable. So orang nak letak data ni kat tempat yang very secure. Ya, dia tak boleh letak dekat data tu dekat tempat dia. Mungkin tempat dia tak ada backup of power, tak ada genset, tak ada connectivity yang tinggi, tak ada security yang hebat. So dekat kita punya data center tu, contohnya kita ada 9 layer of security. So kita, because data ni tak nak leakage to other people kan, very important. So that why kebanyakan big corporation put their services dalam data center. Even contohnya kalau kita masuk TikTok lah contoh kan, kita masuk Facebook lah, kebanyakan semua ni bukannya kita access daripada dia punya server dekat US. So dalam data center ni juga dia ada what we call it CDN, Content Delivery Network. Kan? Sebenarnya kita tak pergi pun keluar daripada Malaysia, kita sebenarnya guna that service dalam Malaysia saja. So all this actually letak kat data center. So lepas atas data center tu dia ada ini yang ni I nak everyone to know juga lah, cloud services. This is the future lah. The cloud ni ada public, ada private, ada hybrid cloud. What it means by that, kalau private ni, kalau untuk internal use, banyaknya orang pakai private cloud. Kalau yang pergi luar daripada itu, dia pakai public cloud. Kalau yang nak external masuk ke network, dia pakai public cloud. And cloud ni macam, bagi contoh, contohnya mudah-mudah sikit. Contohnya kalau you nak beli kereta ni nak pakai sekejap je, tapi beli kereta, ada hari you tak pakai. Right? Itu semata dia panggil on-prem lah. You beli server tu, you letak kat office, you pakai tak pakai, you still kena bayar that server. Tapi untuk cloud ni, you tak payah buat macam tu. Dia macam Grab. So kalau you nak, you pakai. You tak nak, you tak pakai. So that's how cloud punya services. Sama juga macam kita guna Facebook. Kita upload gambar kita tak store kadang-kadang dalam handphone kita pun, dia berada dalam cloud. And cloud ni ada 3 layer lah. Tapi siapa yang nak more detail nanti boleh text I. Boleh Anis? Then atas on top of that, kita develop kita punya smart services. Kita ada smart services, kita ada analytics, kita ada cybersecurity. I touch on smart services sikit. This is very important. Apa itu smart services? So ceritanya IoT lah. We start with IoT, Internet of Things. Internet of Things ni ada 3 komponen. Dia ada sensor, dia ada connectivity yang bawa dia data. Sensor tu collect data, connectivity bawa tu data tu kita punya data center lah dari cloud tadi, and dia akan proses di dashboard. Contoh paling contoh. Ni pakai ni tak smartwatch tak?
Tak ada, saya pakai
dia IoT tu similar macam smartwatch lah kita. Contohnya smartwatch kita ni kita track kita punya steps, kita punya deep sleep, kita punya heartbeat kan. So benda ni dia hantar ke cloud, dia proses, then you boleh tengok you punya trending. So you tahu you punya health condition. So similar juga dalam industri. Dalam industri, dia need to monitor all these devices supaya dia dapat information tu awal, supaya dia boleh protect or even improve dia punya operation. I give example yang kita dah buat 2 projek di Malaysia. Satu kita pakai smart traffic light. Kalau smart traffic light, Anis pergi dekat dekat traffic light biasa, 1 minit hijau, 1 minit merah, 1 minit kuning. Dia very fix. Tak kira lah trafik banyak ke, waktu yang sama ke, dia akan macam tu juga. Tapi kalau smart traffic light ni, kita akan baca all the traffic punya information and kita akan adjust accordingly. Contohnya waktu hijau untuk di junction lama sikit because nampak trafik banyak daripada contohnya pagi ke Kuala Lumpur. So kita akan lepaskan banyak pada 8 hingga 9 pagi. Contohnya. Dia tengok trafik kan. So dia macam that's how actually it helps. So kita pun happy because kita tak tunggu lama. Kadang-kadang kita tak ada kereta pun tapi tunggu lama kan. So this is smart traffic light yang kita buat dekat 200 junction dah, kebanyakan dekat Penang. Kedua kita buat yang satu lagi Internet of Water. Dalam Malaysia ni. Internet of Water. Internet of Things lah, Internet of Water kita panggil kan. So what
Wow.
happened dalam Malaysia ni, satu masalah besar dekat Malaysia adalah non-revenue water. Banyak water leakage. Bila kita tengok pipe pecah, dia lambat you nak repair, then that will terbuanglah air tu and terbuanglah revenue tu. So what we did, kita letakkan sensor dekat pipe, so anything happen dekat pipe tu, nampak je leakage, dia akan automatically send the message to the operation team. So they can go immediately and repair it. So that's actually how the smart services kita work. Kita buat juga satu, ni I rasa siapa yang berminat buat RPA, Robotic Process Automation. Apa benda tu Robotic Process Automation ni? RPA. So RPA ni dia tengok benda yang repetitif lah, yang robot boleh buat. Kita selalu dengan chatbot kan, chatbot yang menjawab kan. Tapi dalam business ada juga yang elemen-elemen kita gunakan RPA ni, bots ni. So what we did, example kat Telekom Malaysia, kita banyak pasang equipment kita dekat offices, dekat government sector. So kalau nak monitor banyak equipment, kita lebih kurang more than 500,000 punya device base yang kita pasang. So kalau nak minta Anis tengok satu-satu alarm tu, probably we need more people. Tapi kita gunakan robot RPA ni to monitor the alarms. Yang mana critical, yang mana alarm yang critical baru kita hantar ke engineers to repair and to solve the problem. So these are the activities yang kita buat dekat TM. So for those yang ada participant request for English, okay. Alright. I ingat nak campur-campur. Okay, so that's what we did dalam Telekom Malaysia. For those the engineering team or engineering student, technical students, this is the area I believe the best place for you to apply your knowledge. Yeah, this is a real use cases that we serve our customers. From the RPA, from AI, from smart services and IoT services. Yeah. In nutshell, our aim again to create digital society, digital business, and digital government. These are three main pillars for our Digital Malaysia aspiration. Alright. So kita open for question later on nanti. Next. And why we do this? So we know very well the world is changing faster than before. Yeah. Technologies now is evolving at such a rapid pace, and then top trending technologies in 2020 includes this AI. Apa benda ni AI, artificial intelligence? For me, it's thinking machine je lah. So it can think like human and better than human. So looking into the trending and even the prediction, AI worldwide punya projection is actually 23 million jobs will be created this year. AI alone. Machine learning expected to grow by 8.8 billion by 2022. RPA is expected to give high-paid salary for the RPA experts. Yeah, edge computing. Apa benda edge computing ni? Edge computing for connected car. Yeah, because connected car, when you drive the car, dia punya computing power tu tak boleh jauh daripada car. Pasal nanti you accident. So edge computing need to be nearer to the car so that the response faster. Right? Cyber security. This is where I think I would like to describe a little bit. Same here. I didn't understand the most part earlier. Okay, sorry. I thought all same here too. So cybersecurity is predicted 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity. Example, Anis, we notice when we have this kind of situation, more people work from home. So they access to their corporate network. So this is actually exposed the network to cyber attack. So now what is lacking in the industry is the cybersecurity experts. So there are a lot of potentials in this area. Internet of Things, this is emerging technology and it expected to reach 30 billion by this year. This is all the prediction done in US. Yeah. And what is clear today, ladies and gentlemen, is digital upskilling is important to increase your agility and job opportunity. What does it mean to us? It means staying current with the technology trend, and it means keeping our eyes on the future. So these are the opportunity, and we have seen this being implemented in industry, manufacturing, and also multiple of enterprises that we serve today. Yeah. So kalau tengok tu impactnya is actually data driven. It's all data driven, automation, AI workplace and work style, plus the new digital lifestyle. Even ourselves, yeah. Today it's no longer, business as usual, no longer classroom biasa, but it's through Zoom. Next, Anis.
Okay.
COVID-19 is actually accelerate the changes. Yeah, this is our new norm. Work from home. We have seen the massive implication, the fracture of supply chain for those who are actually selling via normal shop. No longer actually able to do it now. They need to go for online, and stuff scattered all over the place. The work from home is become normal. As individual, we have to wear masks, do temperature screening, and do check-in using our apps. So we need to deal with unexpected events. And for me, inshallah, every hardship, difficulty, and difficulty is come is. So this is what happened currently, Anis. Work from home, virtual event, cloud-based application. Even during the MCO, we have received a lot of requests on our cloud services, because suddenly they need to develop a new application. So in order for you to develop a new application and buy the servers to develop and put it on the on-prem servers, now you need to go for cloud services, right? So this is where we need to activate the cloud within few seconds for them to use the cloud and also enable the application, and the users can start using the application. So this is what happened currently during these MCO scenarios. Yeah, it's accelerate the changes. Next, adaptability. This is something that I learned. I believe even from my experience, Anis. Yeah, we talk about adaptability is the ability to rapidly learn new skill and behavior in response to evolving environment. So for me, if I can relate to my experience, yeah, when I joined TM, like I mentioned, I'm from the technical background, yeah. So I'm engineer, right? After working with Quantum Federal, and then receive a call. Receive a call from Telecom Malaysia.
Right.
Then the first assignment is actually to become a sales executive. Yeah, technical background is. So I went to a HR manager, knocked the door. Madam, I said, why you put me as sales executive? I'm technical. I want to apply my knowledge as engineer. She said, simple, Isman. This is actually the opportunity for you to be different. Yeah, to see how actually you can adapt yourself in the different environment. Take a challenge, bite the bullet. So I did, Anis. But actually, it turned out to become an advantage to me, because we are dealing with technical guy. We're dealing with IT managers. Yeah? We're dealing with technical stuff. We are selling technical stuff. So the outcome is good. So we noticed that, and I noticed that even in this environment, the unexpected environment, what you do is actually to have this AD, adaptability quotient. People will just focus on IQ and EQ, right? But for me, in the current situation, unexpected situation, you need to have this improve on your AQ, your adaptability. Yeah, think very, very fast. You have multiple options to address any challenges that you have. And why we need to have this adaptability or AQ? Next, please. I think we missed one slide. Never mind. That who actually watched this movie? This is Fast and Furious 6. So one of the scene, kalau tengok sini, one of the scene, dia plan to actually catch these enemies, but suddenly come with tank. So the conversation say, do we have a plan B? We need a plan C, D, and we need more efforts. So similar with our situation today, yeah, this unexpected situation need to be addressed based on how fast we can adapt with the situation, and we're able to come out with the solutions. Yeah. So this is what I call it adaptability skill that required from all of us with regards to the unexpected situation that we have today. Yeah. So my second experience, Anis, with regards to adaptability, I remember during Taiwan earthquake 2006, all cables to Taiwan, because we are managing DHL during that time. DHL, like I mentioned, is Asia Pacific hub in Malaysia. And in 2006, when this earthquake happened, all cable networks from this part of the world to Taiwan collapsed. And we quickly, assemble the people to look what are options that we have. Then luckily we noticed that one cable is actually still alive from the Hong Kong, China back to Japan. So we did that, and Alhamdulillah is able to restore the connectivity. And then we're able to, the first telco, we're able to activate the service to Taiwan, because this is very important, because when a earthquake happens, they actually need to deliver a lot of things to Taiwan. If the network is down, you're not able even to fly the aeroplane, because there's involved on immigration clearance and the rest. So adaptability is very important. This is from my first experience and my second experience, in this corporate world. So you'll be given a multiple of tasks, and you need to adapt with the situation. If you look into the next slide is.
Yep.
This is what the HR manager will ask you. Even I will ask this similar question to potential employees of the company. So it's about mindset, whether you're ready to change, and I also give this so-called what-if situation. So it's not just asking your experience, but if you are given this scenario, what actually your response for this kind of scenario? What is your solution for this kind of problem? So this is about adaptability. That's why the AQ part is very, very important. The key aspect of this adaptability, one is commitment to outcome. This is more result oriented. Adoption in heart is holding your positive value, which is the heart is very important. I will summarize later on. The third one is navigating to the future, and this must be a future-proof approach. That's why keeping our eyes on digital trends and behavior are very, very important. Next, Anis. Okay, why people fail to adapt? This is what actually I learned. I can concur as well with the current environment that I have today. Some of the people living in the comfort zone. Tak apalah attitude ni. We always done this way, right? Lack of knowledge and experimentation. This is something that I noticed as well, because when you're tak apalah, you will not explore new things or new approach, and you fear what if something goes wrong. So this is where I think we need to address quickly. During the final year, we need to address and even improve our AQ skill. How to develop adaptability capabilities? One is actually to observe and monitor changes in our environment. Embrace learning. I've did this before. I share with all of you. Even at MCO, I took executive class more on disruptive technology. Open-minded and take calculated risks. Do a lot of experiments. It's okay. Because I noticed last time, I'm very afraid to attend any interview. Lepas fresh graduate, Anis. But I think when you go through that process, first time probably you fumble. Second time you now have extra confidence. Next, you become an expert. So the advice to the team and also all the participants, if you spend 30 minutes of your time to study about the topic that you love, within 1 month or 2 months, you become the expert in that particular area. So that is AQ. And then next one is, before we call upon our next presenter, some things that I would like to conclude on AQ. First thing, you need to be relevant, continuously learn a new thing, be brave, do learn from your mistake and other people's mistake, be proactive, avoid delay tactics, and this one actually our next speaker will explain more from entrepreneurship perspective. And how to measure your adaptability, we will share after her presentation. Nis, kita ada a few questions for you to test your adaptability. So without further ado, we would like to call upon mentor for program Wanita Cukup Berani Maggie 2020, Anugerah Ikon Usahawan, Ikon Wanita Inspirasi Ekonomi Wise, and Anugerah Usahawan Tekun 2017, Dan to be honest ni, Anis, bila I kenal ni, dia punya story tu very inspiring. You just imagine she can sell her cake at the price of a car.
Wow.
Alright, without further ado, over to you and Idris. Play the video, Anis.
Okay.
You when I need you, my heart is on fire. You comes to be why and why. When comes to me, give me everything I need. A lifetime promises and I work our dreams.
Okay, so welcome, Chen. Are you here with us?
Yes.
Okay, and before you come on, let me just give a little bit of some announcement. For your information, everyone here, we will be conducting this next session more in Bahasa. So we apologize for those who are unable to understand. But in general, I hope you can, just get the gist of it and the story behind it, yeah? Okay, so Chen, over to you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, hai. Assalamualaikum, apa khabar semua? Kepada peserta hari ini yang terdiri daripada student-student universiti, saya harap anda semua sihat. Hari ini saya nak share dengan anda semua perjalanan hidup saya sebagai seorang usahawan. Okey, terlalu banyak perkara-perkara yang orang kata yang sangat susah dan sukar yang saya lalui. Saya sudah 15 tahun dalam bidang perniagaan.
Sorry, Cik Ann.
Yes?
Cik Ann ada video?
Ni, dia tak ada, dia tak post. Dia post. Dia post.
Okey, sekejap Sek. Okey. Ada tak?
Okey. Okey.
Ya.
Okey. Okey, saya Annie Grace. Hai. Okey, saya happy sangat berjumpa dengan anda semua hari ini. Okey, saya nak share tentang perjalanan kerjaya saya sebagai seorang usahawan. 15 tahun saya dalam bidang bakery, alhamdulillah. Saya bermula daripada 2006 sehinggalah sekarang. Dan saya nak bagi tahu, takkan ada kejayaan tanpa kerja keras, usaha dan tawakal, insya-Allah, ya. Saya bermula sebagai seorang usahawan yang tidak ada ilmu. Maknanya saya ni, anda semua dah tentu yang bijak pandai, saya ni agak kurang pandai, tetapi alhamdulillah saya berada di tahap sekarang. Bila saya mula perniagaan saya dengan tak tahu apa-apa, bermakna saya adalah seorang usahawan yang tidak ada ilmu. Okey, saya bekerja di Bukit Merah Lake Town Resort. Kemudian saya berpindah di Kuala Lumpur. Saya berasal dari keluarga yang sangat susah. Ayah saya adalah seorang penjaga security guard, gaji 700 sebulan. Ibu saya bekerja di bakery dengan gaji yang 150. So you bayangkan kesusahan yang saya lalui dengan ilmu yang saya tidak ada, tetapi saya berani ambil cabaran untuk masuk dalam bidang perniagaan, iaitu dalam bisnes bakery. Tetapi kesilapan yang saya buat ialah bila you tidak ada ilmu, you tak ada brand, you buka kedai. Itulah kesilapan yang saya lalui di mana satu tahap saya berjalan kaki 6 km kerana saya tidak mampu untuk membayar kereta. Okey, jalan 6 km, kemudian sampai kedai, mak saya kata kedai pun dah nak kena tutup, kena seal. So macam mana kita nak berniaga ni? Lepas tu cakap dengan mak saya, okey tak apalah mak, kita balik rumah. Okey, balik rumah, masuk ke dalam rumah, melangkah je saya kat rumah tu. Mak saya kata, kakak, mak saya panggil saya kakak, mama ni setitik air pun tak minum. Maknanya dia tak minum, dia tak makan. Jadi saya sebagai seorang anak, bagaimana ya bila ibu kita tidak makan, tidak minum? Jadi saya seluk poket saya hanya ada RM5 saja. Bayangkan, bagaimana ya saya hanya ada RM5 saja. Saya pinjam basikal jiran saya. Saya beli nasi ayam RM4.50 dan baki pada saya ada 50 sen saja. Di waktu itu bila saya bagi mak saya makan semua, saya masuk ke bilik saya, waktu itu saya menangis sepuas-puas hati. Sampai bila saya nak hidup dalam kesusahan? Sampai bila saya tak nak belajar? Sampai bila saya tak nak ubahkan hidup saya ni? Jadi malam dah tentu tak boleh nak tidur. Sebab dah tak ada duit, tinggal 50 sen je. Keesokan harinya apa saya buat? Saya ketuk rumah jiran, minta beras. Saya pinjam beras dekat jiran saya. Saya cakap, aunty, boleh pinjam beras tak? Then bila kita nak pinjam beras, dah tentu aunty tu kata, oh tak ada duit, Idris ni tak ada duit. So dia bagi saya beras dan telur 10 biji. Dan juga baiknya aunty tu dia bagi saya RM50. Jadi saya sangat sinonim dengan nombor 5 ni. Lepas tu apa saya buat? Balik rumah, saya bagi kat mak saya, ma, ini ada telur dan juga beras. Boleh masak nasi ini dan goreng telur. RM50 itu apa saya buat. So, bila you nak jadi seorang usahawan, you kena ada account. Saya dulu hanya sekadar ada SSM saja. Account duit keluar masuk tak ada, bank statement semua tak ada. Jadi di keadaan itu, siapa yang nak bagi saya pinjam duit? Bank takkan bagi, agensi takkan bagi, dan di waktu itu kita akan salah semua orang di keliling kita. Kita akan salahkan bank, kita akan salahkan agensi. Kenapa tak nak bagi pinjam duit pada usahawan? Kenapa bank tak nak membantu? Tapi sebenarnya kesalahan itu adalah kesalahan pada diri sendiri. Jadi siapa yang bagi pinjam duit? Sebab tu pada adik-adik yang tengah mendengar ni, jangan jadi macam Idris. Belajar. Kalau nak jadi usahawan, belajar betul-betul cara betul-betul. Bila kita nak masuk ke gelanggang perniagaan ni, permainan dia sangat-sangat berbeza. You kena mental, you kena kuat, sangat-sangat kuat. Apa saya buat? Siapa pun tak nak bagi pinjam, apa saya buat? Saya pergi ke pinjaman wang pelesen. Yes, saya pinjam alun. Jangan buat ni jangan buat macam saya buat. Jadi ambil kesilapan saya ni sebagai pengajaran untuk anda semua. Saya pinjam pinjaman wang pelesen ni sebanyak RM10,000. Jadi pertama sekali bila saya dapat duit tu, saya pergi ke cyber cafe dan di situ saya belajar. Oh, rupanya bila kita nak jadi usahawan, bila kita nak berniaga, you kena keluar cari customer. Bukan customer cari you. Bila you tidak ada brand, bila brand you tidak cukup kuat, you kena perkenalkan brand you pada orang lain. Okay? Kena jumpa orang, ini produk kita, apa semua. Jadi saya berniaga di pasar malam dan juga di pasar tani. Bila you nak jadi usahawan, jadilah usahawan yang tidak ada nanti, yang tidak ada tapi. Yang tidak banyak soalan. Yang tidak banyak, nantilah nak buat, tapi kereta saya dah kena tarik kan. Saya dah pinjam duit alun sebanyak RM10,000. Apa saya buat? Saya pergi sewa kereta. Saya ingat lagi saya punya kereta, saya sewa kereta Satria untuk berniaga. Pasar malam dan pasar tani. Daripada satu tempat pasar tani, 2 tempat pasar tani, sehinggalah saya mempunyai 16 tempat kawasan di pasar tani seluruh Selangor. Dan di situ saya mula plan bagaimana nak berkembang lagi perniagaan saya. Kedai saya tutup, saya buat dekat rumah. Di situ saya asah skill saya. Duit tak ada sangat kan, ada 10,000 pun dah guna banyak. Jadi apa saya buat, setiap hari, kalau sesiapa yang dah follow Instagram saya, Mama's Bakery, you all boleh tengok skill-skill kek yang saya buat. Hari-hari saya belajar dekat YouTube bagaimana nak buat kek, bagaimana nak buat 3D kek, bagaimana nak buat kek yang cantik-cantik, resepi-resepi semua saya R&D. Jadi daripada situ saya asah skill, saya perbetulkan diri saya jadi usahawan yang agak bijak sikit, mula menyimpan 10 bulan, ngam-ngam 10 bulan, saya dah langsaikan pinjam CT tu. Takut sekejap lagi nanti dia jual. Jadi, jual kita pulak kan sekejap lagi kan. Jadi daripada situ, saya pergi ke bazar-bazar. Jadi saya keluar mencari customer. Sehinggalah satu hari, saya buat kek untuk pelakon Anzalna. Dia minta kek buat untuk kek patung Barbie doll dan kek itu menjadi viral. Siapa sangka dulu saya daripada berniaga pasar malam, pasar tani sehinggalah saya adalah pembuat kek termahal di Malaysia. Kek saya bermula daripada RM15 hinggalah ratusan ribu ringgit. Dan saya juga adalah satu-satunya baker daripada Malaysia yang buat kek untuk Raja Arab King Salman. Kek saya ada yang RM15,000, RM43,000, RM67,000, RM87,000 sampailah ratusan ribu. Jadi kek-kek ini semua bukannya selalu orang minta. Jadi sebab itulah bisnes bakery saya daripada RM15 hinggalah ratusan ribu ringgit. So alhamdulillah. So di sini saya nak bagi tahu, bila you nak berniaga, you kena jadi usahawan yang cekal. You kena berani. Apa saja dalam dunia ni, saya pasti tidak ada yang pandai ataupun yang kurang pandai. Dalam dunia ni hanya ada 2 saja golongan. Yang rajin ataupun yang tidak rajin. Apakah pekerjaan yang paling kaya dan paling miskin? Pekerjaan yang paling kaya dan paling miskin ialah berniaga. Semakin banyak anda menjual, anda mempromosi produk anda semakin kaya dan kaya. Sampailah sekarang, saya selalu bagi tahu pada staf-staf saya, sentiasa promote, menjual, hari-hari upload testimoni. Dulu pekerja saya ada 3 orang. Sampailah sekarang total pekerja saya ada lebih kurang 24 orang. Jadi siapa sangka kesusahan saya, kepahitan yang saya lalui adalah kemanisan yang saya kecapi sekarang. Dan sekarang saya adalah masa untuk memberi kepada usahawan-usahawan yang memerlukan khidmat nasihat saya ataupun menjadi mentor kepada usahawan-usahawan yang memerlukan saya, insya-Allah. Jadi bila berniaga ni Jadi bila kita jadi usahawan ni kena sentiasa belajar. Tidak ada yang mustahil. Dalam dunia perniagaan ni tak akan ada benda yang mustahil. Yang penting you rajin. Rajin terus buat. And Idris boleh buat, akan anda yang bijak pandai ni pun boleh buat. Betul tak? Kan? Fikir, kalau rasa kesusahan, kalau rasa susah nak buat sesuatu benda, kalau rasa duit ada RM10, and Idris dulu pernah ada 50 sen, pernah ada RM5, tetapi kecekalan saya buat saya berada kat tahap ni. Jadi saya harap adik-adik yang tengah mendengar saya kena kuat semangat. So tepuk dada, tanya selera. Selepas ini nak jadi apa? Selepas ini apa yang kita nak buat sebenarnya? Saya suka berniaga. Jadi apa saja perniagaan yang saya nampak potensi, dah tentu saya akan mencubakan diri dalam bidang perniagaan itu. Dan sekarang saya juga dah ada akademi saya sendiri. Saya juga ada Idris Health and Beauty. Dan produk saya berada lebih kurang dekat 80 Petronas, ada di Petron dan juga ada di Shell. Jadi bila nak jadi usahawan, you kena kuat semangat. Tak ada yang mustahil. Kesusahan saya orang kata, kalau kata semangat saya, siapa ada pernah tanya saya, ada orang pernah tanya saya, siapakah pendorong utama Anne Idris? Sebenarnya pendorong utama saya adalah diri sendiri. Kalau diri sendiri yang tak push, yang tak paksa, takkan jadi. Datanglah 10 orang speaker terbaik ataupun mentor terbaik depan anda, 10 orang. Tetapi kalau tindakan itu bukan daripada diri sendiri, takkan jadi. Semua orang mempunyai impian. Semua orang sama impian kita. Kita nak hidup senang, kita nak pergi holiday, kita nak pakai kereta besar. Impian setiap manusia adalah sama. Tetapi apakah yang membezakan impian itu? Yang membezakan impian itu adalah tindakan. Jadi saya adalah salah seorang yang bertindak untuk berjaya dan lebih berjaya insya-Allah. Jadi kalau kata berniaga tu susah, pada saya memang susah. Sebenarnya kalau kita nak buat sesuatu, kita kena cinta, kita kena sayang. Tak kira apa saja, kita bekerja ke, kita berniaga ke, kita kena sayang apa yang kita buat. Dan setia. Bila berniaga ni, you kena setia dengan produk you. You jangan jadi acah-acah usahawan. You jangan main-main. You jangan semua benda you nak buat. Setahun ada 12 perniagaan. Hari ni you nak jual tudung. Bulan depan you jual nasi lemak. Bulan 3 you jual pula air. Jadi you tidak fokus. Bila you berniaga, you kena fokus. Fokus adalah paling utama. Fokus, cari jalan kunci dia, insya-Allah. Okay. Ada soalan lagi? Okay, jadi bila saya, semua produk saya adalah saya R&D sendiri. Dan pekerja-pekerja saya semua adalah anak-anak Melayu tempatan kita yang berusia antara 20 sampailah 23 orang. Yang saya ambil mereka ini, saya grow mereka ini supaya jadi lebih bagus bila di tangan saya ni, insya-Allah. Okay, next. Jadi siapa yang nak follow saya, boleh follow My Mom's Bakery. Kadang-kadang bila saya ingat balik kesusahan saya dulu, yang saya tak ada duit nak makan, kereta kena tarik, sampai pinjam alung untuk berniaga. Saya kadang-kadang saya tertanya-tanya pada diri sendiri, kenapa orang luar tak boleh buat? Kenapa? Mungkin kerana mereka terlalu manja. Yang saya keluarga susah kan, bapak kerja guard, mak cuci loyang RM150. Kalau tanya bagaimana saya mendapat kekuatan itu, bila saya melihat ibu saya cuci loyang. Umur saya 9 tahun, saya dah cuci loyang bersama ibu saya. Saya tengok dia cuci loyang, saya cakap dengan mak saya, Mama, satu hari nanti kita akan ada kedai kek. Satu hari nanti. Dan Alhamdulillah saya ada kedai kek saya sendiri. Dan saya juga mempunyai ejen seluruh Malaysia. Di mana mereka ini saya membantu untuk menjana pendapatan. Kita nak cerita pasal PKP pula. PKP. Sekarang masa PKP dulu, saya adalah antara yang terkesan sekali dengan PKP. Kenapa staff ramai sampai 24 orang, kita nak bagi makan apa. 3 hari saya duduk di rumah, saya cakap, okey, 3 hari tak buat kerja, macam mana nak bayar gaji? Mungkin bolehlah bertahan dalam tempoh setahun. Tetapi bila you jadi usahawan, you kena alert dengan keadaan sekeliling you. Apakah permintaan yang paling tinggi? Permintaan yang paling tinggi waktu musim MCO apa dia? Adalah roti. Sampai roti Gardenia habis. Jadi saya cipta satu produk iaitu roti goreng. Dan Alhamdulillah mendapat sambutan. Dan saya sendiri terkejut, sale saya untuk satu hari 21,700 sehingga saya terpaksa beli mesin divider tu yang bernilai 27,000, keluar 10 saat keluar 36 biji roti bun. Dan sampai sekarang lah saya sentiasa upgrade produk-produk saya. Jadi bila jadi usahawan, you jangan lemah semangat. You jangan takut. Bila you nak berniaga, you jangan takut, you jangan malu. You jual produk you, you jual brand you. Ingat apa saya pesan? Bila nak berniaga, terus promote, menjual. Kenalkan brand you pada orang. Kalau orang tak kenal brand you, agak susah. Jadi saya berniaga 100% saya menggunakan platform digital, media sosial. Produk saya hanya menjual di Instagram, di Facebook sahaja. Itulah yang saya jual. Dan juga sekarang ni barulah saya masuk ke offline. Jadi alhamdulillah follower saya 200,000 lebih dan saya sentiasa mengajar si rumah, usahawan-usahawan yang baru nak naik terutama dalam bidang bakery. Saya sentiasa buat live, bagi resipi-resipi percuma pada orang. Sebab tu saya kata masa sekarang ni adalah masa saya untuk memberi kepada yang memerlukan. Sebab itulah bila ada event-event seperti PM kalau buat event dan sebagainya, Mara Farmers buat, datanglah dengar. Kerana di situ macam-macam peluang yang anda boleh dapat. Okey. Jadi next. Dia kalau cakap dia tak cukup 20 minit. Okey. Sebab tu orang kata bila apa yang anda lihat sekarang ni adalah lihat sukses. Saya sukses. Saya bila tengok Idris ni, wah dia ada tu, dia ada ni, happy, ada staff yang ramai, ada kedai yang cantik, ada Pak Petronas semua. Itu yang orang lihat. Yang anda lihat adalah diamond. Tetapi hakikatnya, realiti yang berlaku adalah risiko, kurang rehat. Saya tak cukup tidur. Bila saya nak sampai ke tahap ni, saya tak cukup tidur. Saya mungkin tidur dalam 3 jam satu hari. Kegagalan, reject. Bukan orang tak reject produk saya. Banyak. Ramai yang reject produk saya. Yang makan kek saya cakap, tak sedap pun ada. Tetapi itu dulu. Sebab itu, bila orang kritik produk anda jangan sedih. Kerana itu adalah kekuatan anda sebenarnya. Bagi jadi lagi bagus. Keberanian, sengsara, kekecewaan, itu semua saya dah lalui. Untuk capai tahap ni. Jadi, kalau realiti yang berlaku ni semua kita dah lalui, sekiranya tak naklah minta, ada lagi halangan-halangan yang datang, insya-Allah kita boleh tempuhi dengan kuat dan tenang. Next. Okay, next. Okay, proses pembelajaran. Ini adalah kek saya yang di-reject. Kalau tengok ni yang di-reject, orang tak nak kek ni, orang cakap tak cantik. Pengantin kata, ini bukan saya, ini bukan saya. Kena reject. Next. Ini pun kena reject. Ini adalah produk saya yang kena reject. Orang ni nak kek Joss sebenarnya, nak kek Joss. Tapi nampak dalam gambar ni bukan kek Joss. Pasangan pengantin ni macam tak berapa nak kahwin. Dia orang tak suka nak, dia orang tak happy nak kahwin. So di reject. Ini adalah produk saya yang di reject oleh customer. Okay, next. Yes, hasil kecakalan saya hasilkan kek-kek yang begini. Dan jangan terkejut, kek-kek ni saya hanya belajar di YouTube saja. Rajin ataupun tidak. Semangat, kuat ataupun tidak. Next. Yes, ini sharp. Dan kek ni bernilai 4,500. Next. Yes. Tanpa putus asa. Dan kek ni kita kata, sekiranya anda nak menjaga, jadilah usahawan, jadilah peneraju, jangan jadi peniru. Sekiranya anda nak jadi peniru, jadi lebih baik dari orang yang anda tiru. Jadi kalau you tengok kek kat sini adalah henna. Orang henna lukis dekat tangan, tapi saya lukis dekat kek. Dan kek ni tak silap saya lebih kurang 8,000 lebih. Okay, next. Yes. Dan ni semuanya bernilai 1,000 ke atas. Next. Betul tak saya kata? Semua insan mempunyai impian. Yang membezakan kita hanyalah pilihan dan tindakan. Jadi tepuk dada, tanya selera. Next. Dan kek bawah eksklusif ni bernilai 15,900 dan kek Swarovski warna putih ni bernilai RM47,000. Jadi fikir tak termasuk akal. Bagaimana seorang usahawan dulu yang berjaga di pasar malam, di pasar tani, yang kereta kena tarik, yang nak makan, nak bagi mak dia makan pun tak ada duit, sehingga boleh menjual kek puluhan ribu ringgit. Next. Dan kek ni adalah kek terbaik. Saya menang kek ni 2 tahun berturut-turut. Masuk kali ketiga saya tak masuk dah, takut kalah. Tapi tak apa, kita bagi peluang pada usahawan-usahawan lain. Cukuplah menang 2 kali. Next. Yes, ini adalah kek untuk Raja Arab King Salman yang datang di Malaysia berapa 3 tahun yang lepas, tidak mistaken. So, inilah kek. Dan saya berbangga mewakili baker-baker seluruh Malaysia. Saya mewakili mereka untuk menghasilkan kek ini, dan kek ini dibawa balik Arab. Bawa balik Arab tau. Next. Okay. Jadi, akhir sekali, saya doakan anda semua sentiasa berjuang untuk mencapai impian. Berjuang, saya rasa anda adalah pejuang yang hebat. Jadi ingat pesan saya, nak berniaga, nak buat apa pun, jangan ada nanti, jangan ada tapi. Usaha tanpa henti, cekal, tawakal, rezeki tidak pernah salah pintu, insyaAllah. Bye dan Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih Cik Ann untuk cerita yang sangat inspiring dan penuh kita nak cakap ni menusuk kalbu lah dari cerita tu. Jadi okay, so we want to call back Encik Yusman here. So for all of the international students that we may have trouble in understanding, Encik Yusman, can we give a short summary?
Thank you, Anis. Sorry. Okay, for all international students, the topic that we discussed today is actually navigating the next normal from corporate view and also from the entrepreneurship views. So I discussed today and explained to the team how to become adaptable. So one is actually to be relevant. What we mean by be relevant is to learn new things, especially on digital transformation. Be brave. Let's try to innovate, to dominate. And the third one is to be proactive, know about what actually digital transformation. So there are few new emerging technology that we have today, like Internet of Things, cybersecurity, AI, that can help push the industry forward. The difference between the corporate and also the entrepreneurship, if you notice just now, for us, we have multiple domains. Yeah? We expand our horizon from managing the consumer and also the corporate and government. Plus, we have dedicated team to look after that particular segment. You look into entrepreneurships, they carry multiple of hats. And it's actually CEO, CMO, CSO, and all the CXO on the end. But that will give you extra advantage on the skill part. So for me, the most important thing, whether you are in corporate and also in entrepreneurship, you need to have a good mindset, good skill set, and the most important thing, you also need to have a good tool set. Tool set is more on digital, solutions and application that you use can help you to be smarter, better, and faster. So for those who want to test your adaptability, you can go to this very interesting website to understand whether you are adaptable or not adaptable. So over to you back, Hanis.
Okay, thank you so much. And okay, so on this slide, we have the short the survey that was mentioned by Encik Yusman. Okay, I believe that we have already shared it in the chat above. Yes, I'll just copy this back and post it for you. As well as we will be doing a short poll. So while you guys thinking about what question you want to ask for Cik Ann and Cik Yusman, so we'll just do this poll, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's just take a minute for everyone to vote on the questions, and we'll move on.
while you're answering that question, and probably I may share what is digital transformation all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, digital transformation is actually the three things, the objective of digital transformation. One is actually to improve the process. Second is actually to enhance the customer experience. The third one is more on innovation of business model. What you have seen in Grab example, Airbnb as new business model emerge, right? Even on adaptability, if you read about Airbnb story, so it started by selling, this airbag, and suddenly they notice that the requirement is not just airbag. The requirement is actually more on the, cheap that you can, not only hotels that you have today, but you want to rent the hotel that is cheaper more than to use the other people's assets. So this is a new business model that Airbnb embark on. So when you talk about digital transformation, that involves these three areas. And when you look into the overall picture of digital transformation, the three elements that affect the digital transformation. One is actually from the technological perspective. Second one is from the company perspective, more on internal factors. The third one from the environment perspective. So we have seen the COVID-19 that's affect digital transformation, but it's where actually most of the companies start embracing digital transformation. So learning about digital transformation, what are the emerging technology will help the company, will help you as well to be, different when you want to apply for a job. The employability is very, very high for those who have this digital skill. Yeah.
Yep.
So we have any other questions? Do we have questions?
Okay. Before we go to the questions, let's see the result for the polling. Okay, so you can see most people are more excited in being in the entrepreneurship world. 54%.
Work-life balance.
So this is an interesting result.
Yeah, it is a very interesting result.
Yeah. Okay, so right. Let's move on to the Q&A session. So let me just share my screen here quickly. Okay, so we have a lot of questions from the floor. Okay, we're going to ask, there's a question for Encik Yusman. Okay, by Shafira Ayuni. Okay, Shafira, please leave your name and your email address for us to contact you. Morning, Mr. Yusman. My question is how to make graduates relevant for employment in the digital age. I think this is a concern from many, as I think they might be afraid that as we move to an AI, more digital world, will it, take over other people's job in this case? Yeah. So
like I mentioned, Anis, yeah. With regards to digital, because this is where we see the gap. Even though the technology can help us, but there are elements that need people to assist. Example, to do the cloud migration, right? You still need to have people to do a migration, to set up the cybersecurity policy, right? So we need the cybersecurity professional to do it. To do the RPA, robotic process automation, you always start from the planning part, which area that we need to improve, and then the RPA is coming in. There's a lot of professional services required, and we see a lot of gap here, even in my department, because we are looking for cybersecurity people, we are looking for cloud experts, we are looking for IoT experts in this area. So if you have that competency to come over and able to help us on this, that will improve your employability. So this is an area that we need to look into, because you need to keep on your eyes on the new technology, like I mentioned, the cloud services and the rest. But we still need human to do a few things, the professional services part, because
Right.
we need to remember there's still a legacy system that we have today. So when people want to embrace digital technology, it required the planning part, the migration part, the enhancement of people as well to manage this all technologies. So we see a lot of opportunity in this area.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Encik Usman. I hope that answers your question, Shafira. So, okay, we have a question. Okay, this question is for both Encik Usman and Cik Ann. Okay, memandangkan kita dalam situation in, with the COVID-19 and business sekarang tengah tutup, is it still is it still a wise decision to start for entrepreneurship, or will it be a risky decision, during this time, pada masa sekarang ni? Maybe Cik Ann ada experience in entrepreneurship, boleh jawab?
Okey, maklumlah musim COVID kan. Tetapi nasihat saya, sesiapa yang nak bermula dalam bidang perniagaan ni, bermula daripada rumah dahulu. Jangan buka kedai. Macam sekarang yang dah ada perniagaan, sustain. Tak payah nak kembang. Sustain je. Sekarang ni adalah masa untuk bertahan untuk orang-orang macam saya. Tetapi sekiranya yang baru untuk berniaga, bermula daripada rumah. Online. Jangan buka kedai. Bila buka kedai, kena fikir, kedai nak sewa, pekerja nak kena bayar. Semua benda tu. Jadi, buat sale, buat bisnes yang tanpa modal. Kena tahu apa yang tanpa modal. Tengok sekeliling apa yang boleh buat tanpa modal. Bila you nak berniaga, you test diri you dulu. Saya percaya kat dalam ni ramai wanita-wanita, ramai perempuan. Mungkin yang pandai masak, ataupun mungkin boleh jual baju-baju terpakai. Kalau perempuan yang pakai tudung tu, boleh dah jual-jual tudung. Test dulu diri anda. Atau boleh jadi ejen saya. Kalau mula nak berniaga, jadi ejen saya pun boleh.
I think that's how it's important. Start selling other people products to understand about business.
Yes.
Then you can create your own product. That's what Ann is trying to say.
Understand.
I think it's a good idea, because for me, you need to have plan A, plan B, plan C, and all the alphabets like I mentioned today. So you're not able to get a job from a corporate, you probably start with entrepreneurship, or you want to start with entrepreneurship, learn about business, and then join the corporate world. There's all options available. Yeah. The most important thing, be brave and be relevant.
Betul.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answers, Encik Usman, Cik Ann. Okay, just want to clear things for the attendance. Yes, for all of you who are worried for whether your attendance is recorded, yes, we have already recorded your email address. For those who attended this session, yes, your attendance is recorded. Okay. All right, so we're going to move to the next question from Brian Zalki. Okay, his question is to Encik Usman. How do you manage to cope with everyday's rapidly changing technology? The activities and new technology research that you story just now was very, very interesting.
Yep. So that's why I said it's about we ourselves. I divide myself into three portion that I need to improve. One is the brain. This is the mindset part. The knowledge part is here. The heart. You need to hold your values, hunger for new information. You need to be example values that you carry, respect and care, be humble, so that you can learn from the rest. The third one is your skill set. So when we talk about how to for me to get updated on information or new technology, this is where you have the internal innovation and external innovation. There's a lot actually information about digital transformation. That's why, if you notice, I also embarked on my PhD journey on digital transformation, just to keep my mind thinking about the new technology. I also enrolled to executive program. There's a lot of online programs out there that can you pick and choose. And even in domestic in Malaysia, there are multiple of agencies conducting online classes with regard to digital transformation. So just go ask Mr. Google, and there are a lot of information there on the digital technology. But again, you need to look at what is actually impactful technology that probably majority of these research houses like McKinsey, BCG publish in their website. So at least you know what is happening and what is actually the industry embark on with regards to digital transformation. So that's actually the information I always check. Follow LinkedIn, a few people that you want to follow. Example, the CEO of Microsoft, who always update the new technology. So probably that will help you to keep up with new technology or emerging technology that the industry is using.
Okay, thank you Encik Rizman ya. Okay, for the next question, kita ada daripada Nur Farina binti Azmi, dan ada juga banyak orang yang tanya pasal this question. Kepada Cik Ann, boleh tak share tips yang boleh diguna ke dalam online business macam Facebook ke atau IG ke, or any other digital platform yang boleh kita dapatkan sales lagi? Cik Ann?
Okey, sebab tu tadi saya kata di awal tadi, apakah pekerjaan paling kaya, paling miskin dan berniaga? Semakin banyak anda menjual, anda mempromot, tak kira lah apa platform sekalipun. Macam saya hanya menggunakan dua saja. Saya menggunakan Instagram dan juga Facebook. Okey, saya promote setiap hari. Satu hari, kalau rajin, saya memang rajin. Satu hari saya post dalam Instagram saya 40 ke 50. Termasuklah testimoni, produk-produk, cara pembuatan, bercerita tentang produk, selalu buat live dengan customer-customer. Jadi di situlah kekuatan untuk menjual tu sangat tinggi. Jadi itulah platform yang saya gunakan. Setiap hari saya akan bagi tahu pada staff saya hari ni dah berapa, dan juga sekiranya ada kemampuan, mungkin kalau buat seorang, mungkin ada tambah seorang untuk jaga marketing, untuk menjaga sale, dan kita akan bagi KPI pada dia hari ni berapa. Itu saja. Sebab tu saya kata kadang-kadang ramai yang tak percaya apakah platform yang saya guna, hanya Instagram dan juga Facebook. Tapi saya ada team marketing yang power lah. Tapi tak apa, sabar, pelan-pelan. Bermula dengan Instagram dulu. Jangan buat TikTok je.
Tapi sekarang TikTok ramai orang buat sekarang.
Ya betul, saya rasa ni sebab apa TikTok ni, saya tak adalah buat TikTok yang mengarut-mengarut tu. Saya TikTok berdasarkan produk saya. Jadi di situ juga sale kita pun akan tinggi sebenarnya. Sekarang ni macam-macam kelas online yang ada. Jadi Google pun ada. Mr. Google saja. Macam saya, Google juga.
Ya, dengan apa, sebab sekarang kan orang do viral kan. Jadi kalau jadi selain daripada Facebook atau IG, kalau ada idea nak share ke TikTok, tapi mestilah pasal produk lah.
Ya, pasal produk.
Okay juga. Ya. Right.
Jadi pasal produk, jadi kadang-kadang bila you post dekat TikTok, especially bila TikTok orang semua nak tengok sebab TikTok tu ada music. So kita letak kita punya produk kat situ. Jadi diorang ingat English nak keluar, tapi tak, English takkan keluar. Yang keluar tiket dan sebagainya.
I think with regards to digital marketing, engage memakai social media because the brand pun mana kenal. For those yet to have this well-known brand, digital marketing is the one you need to do. Example, Google Ads. So pull and push marketing that need to put in. Very interesting. This the area that we see. Example, what we have seen on multiple product that they're able to sell online without physical, outlet, right? We have seen that, and even during this MCO, there are more requests or more transaction being done online. So
yes.
very
Now,
interesting.
especially nowadays where it's everything is in our smartphone. Everything can just be accessed at the fingertips. Okay. Just going to add on to for other digital platform. There are a lot of digital platform that you can use to advertise your business. Not just Facebook or Instagram, and also in TikTok. We can also share in Google. If you want to go a bit deeper, you can research on how to optimize your SEO, meaning that's your search engine optimization. Yeah. And if you type in certain keywords, it will come up with the first option when you search for that keyword. So that's a very good method to reach to your audience, because everyone use Google, right? Yeah. So that's one example. Okay, let's take a few more questions before we wrap up. I hope that's fine with you, Cik En and Cik Yusman.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we just take a few more questions. This is from Eja Noriza Latif. Okay. Mostly to Kak En. Okay. How to be strong like you to face life hardship? Any tips and guidance to survive mainly during this pandemic? Ada tak any tips atau kesusahan sekarang yang Cik En hadapi masa pandemik ni? Any advice? Okay. Tak apa, kita bagi Cik En sikit masa untuk
unmute.
Okay, in the meantime, for those who are still asking about attendance, please be informed that your attendance is already recorded, ya. Okay. Cik En, ya.
Okay. Masa MCO kan, kekuatan saya bila sebenarnya kekuatan ni sebenarnya adalah bukan kekuatan diri saja, kekuatan ke orang sekeliling juga. Kerana orang sekeliling ni sebenarnya mengharapkan kita. Kalau kita tak kuat, orang sekeliling pun akan rasa down. Jadi sebab tu saya kata bila you berniaga, you kena alert. You kena kekuatan tu bila you rasa sedih, you rasa saya rasa down, rasa macam tak nak buat ke, rasa apa ke, saya akan fikir balik kesusahan saya yang dulu. Saya tak nak pergilah lagi zaman tu. Saya dah tak nak pergi dah. Saya dah tak nak pergi dah zaman tu, saya tak nak dah. Saya tak nak kita kena tarik, saya tak nak, tak ada duit nak makan, saya tak nak. Jadi sebenarnya kekuatan saya tu adalah kekuatan mereka, inilah semua kekuatan saya. Orang sekeliling adalah kekuatan saya. Sebab tu saya kata masa MCO dulu, kita tak boleh nak berniaga, rumah saya down. 3 hari duduk kat rumah, down sangat-sangat. Nak buat apa, nak bayar, staff punya ramai, sewa, semua nak bayar. Jadi bila kita tengok balik diorang ni, inilah kekuatan kita dan di situ kita akan tampilkan idea-idea yang baru. Bila you menjadi owner, bila you jadi boss, dia macam ni. Bila jadi boss, you kena fikir semua orang. You tak boleh fikir sendiri. Boss ni fikir untuk orang. Sebenarnya boss ni bekerja untuk diorang ni sebenarnya. Mencari idea dan segalanya. Mereka ini hanyalah melaksanakan. Buat saja. Dia fikir bos. Jadi kalau tak ada duit pun bos, apa semua bos. Jadi kekuatan saya itulah. Orang sekeliling saya ni kekuatan saya. You bila masuk dalam bidang perniagaan, bila you jadi bos, you kena sentiasa kuat. You fikir balik kenapa you masuk dalam bidang ni.
Yes. Saya pun setuju. Yang bila kita dah usahakan sesuatu, means kita kena ingat balik. Ya, betul cakap Cik En, ya. Kita kena ingat balik kenapa kita buat tu, ya. Okay, and let's see, we have enough time. Okay, so I think that's it for the Q&A session, because I'm afraid that we can't answer all questions. But of course, if you have any more question, you can always forward it to Encik Yusman and Anne through LinkedIn. Yeah, so we will be sharing Encik Yusman and Encik Anne's LinkedIn in the chat box here. Yeah, there we go. So any question, you can just go ahead and connect with them and ask your questions lah. Okay, so Give me 1 sec, yeah. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so we've got your question. We will contact you for the special token. So just want, as we are running out of time, so we're going to wrap this session soon. Just a few notes from me. Okay, if you don't forget that we are giving out amazing prizes. 1 sec, yeah. And you can win them by voting TM in the Graduates' Choice Award under the Government Linked Companies category and Telecommunication category. So also visit TM virtual booth for career tips and jobs vacancies. So we have a lot of vacancies posted in this website. So you can visit it at digitalcareerfairs.com. It's ongoing from 5th October to end of this month. But even after November, you can still apply. It's just that there will be less response to it. Okay. And as promised, we are giving out a free personality profile assessment from TM. So go ahead and scan this QR code, or we can. And for those who can't scan it, let me just share with you the link. There we go. Okay. And also don't miss the next career webinar from TM, which will be presented by J. Azrin Aris, Director of Central Strategic Economic Region, with his topic, Future Business, Product versus Solution. Which one are you? Okay, it will be on the 12th of November, 2020, Thursday, 10 a.m. Yeah, so don't forget and register now. You can register now at www.digitalcareerfest.com. And yeah, you can go ahead. So, okay, and this session will also be in a mix of English and Malay for the ease of communication. Yeah.
Hanis, probably I would like to explain a little bit. Aris here is actually the inventor of our smart traffic light. So
I
would like to
see.
invite all of you to join this session. It's a very interesting session, and you can ask him to speak all English, yeah, if you want to.
Okay, for sure. Okay. All right. And yeah, so before we end, Yusman and CN, do you have any parting words or any last words you want to share with the floor?
So for me, for all students, yeah, be adaptable, be relevant, be brave, be proactive, and become enabler of economy, driver of change, and a builder of nation. Thank you.
Teruskan semangat, kena kuat, masih jauh lagi perjalanan anda. Terus membanggakan diri sendiri dan juga keluarga, insyaAllah. Saya doakan. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
So thank you so much again, Encik Yusman, Cik N, and TM for allowing us this opportunity to share your amazing stories and experience to everyone. And to everyone here who have attended our session, thank you so much. You've made, I mean, just by joining this webinar, you've already taken one step towards your career discovery. Yeah. So all the best to everyone. Thank you again, Cik Yusman and Cik N. Okay, maybe we can take a photo, a group photo.
Group photo.
Yeah. Okay, let me check this one here.
Yeah.
Only 3 of us.
Yeah. Unless anyone here on the floor wants to join us. Just raise your hand and I'll invite you to come on stage.
Okay.
Okay, we have one here.
ramai.
Mak Kibura.
Yes, come on.
Hi, Mak.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Okay, just a few more and we'll be good.
Hi. Stay safe, yeah, everyone. Fatin.
Okay, we have anyone? Okay, last one, Joshua.
Hi. Hi, Chua.
Hi.
Cik Asmui.
Okay.
Fatin. Hi, Joshua.
Hi.
All right. So everyone ready? Today, okay, taking photo in 3, 2. All right, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Stay home, stay safe.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so with
Thank you,
that,
Anne.
I would like to close this session. I'll just leave the screen on for the free PPA, which you can redeem. So just give me a sec. Yeah. So just gonna leave the screen on this one, and thank you so much again. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you,
Anne.
Jaziman.